welcome to Entrepreneur Connect Dialogues, where we amplify African excellence, and we do that by talking to some of the most inspiring entrepreneurs on our continent. We look at their stories, we look at what they do in society, their social impact, their economic impact. We have a look at how they look and see the future of entrepreneurship in Africa. And in that sense, joining me today, we've got Kgomotso Sediane from KMC, and she's going to share her story with us today. Welcome, Kgomotso.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to go straight into my first question. This is obviously a question that people ask you quite a lot. Who is Kgomotso Sediane, and tell us your story of your business.
Okay, so my name is Kgomotso, as Deshun has already told you. I'm a managing director of a company called KMC. And I got into the tech space from, I think it's about almost 20 years ago. I feel so old. Almost 20 years ago. and I fell in love with tech. It's been a very interesting journey being in the tech space. And then about 4 years ago, so I started out as like your hardcore programmer. So I used to sit and work with
all those ones and zeros.
Yay, that's indeed what we did.
Yes.
So, and then eventually I kind of moved to a project management space where it's more about, managing how the project works as a whole. And then eventually I got into, an opportunity actually found me to be a managing director of a tech company. And I think what I learned when I was there is that we have so much more responsibility, having gone through the struggles that we went through, having succeeded through some of the stuff that we have succeeded. Sometimes we don't realize how much responsibility we have back to our communities. So I had been avoiding, trying to get my story out there because it's always so difficult and it always kind of feels like I'm trying to blow my own trumpet. Until somebody said to me that, this is bigger than you. This is not about you. It's about the difference that it can make in other people's lives. So what KMC does is we are actually a digital software development company, and we build custom solutions for our clients, much like we did for you.
Yes,
with
absolutely.
The peak
we'll
performance.
chat about that a little bit
indeed,
later.
yeah. So that's what we do, and we know that we have so much more responsibility to give back.
Absolutely, because it is true that there aren't many females in the tech space, and to find an African female in the tech space is almost impossible. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, if I may use that example.
Yeah, it's not that easy. It's not that they are not there. We are definitely there, but it's not that easy to find us. Yes. And I think also we have been socialized to not tell our own story.
Correct.
So it doesn't come naturally to us to want to talk about, the stuff that we've done and has gone well for us. So
that's interesting, because I suppose in many ways you are an outlier. You don't fit a traditional profile of what a female in business should be like and
Absolutely.
do. So my question then is, you must have come across quite a number of obstacles over the years. Can you maybe highlight 2 or 3 obstacles that you've had to overcome?
One of the weirdest and very interesting ones actually is the limit that we women put on one another, and our lack of interest in helping one another. And some of the times even worse is that we make a concerted effort to stop one another from being successful.
Yes.
So that was very interesting for me to experience.
And frustrating, I'm sure.
Oh yes, yes. So, and that had been, it's been one of the most difficult things for me to deal with and to try and overcome. So having to try and find women who share the same vision and understanding that, look, tech happens to be the thing that allows me and KMC to do what we want to do, but beyond all of this, behind all of this, there is a purpose, So, and I think once we find people who understand that this is actually about a purpose, then it makes it easier for women to connect.
Sure.
So that's one of the first hurdles that I had to go through, or sort of the things that I had to accept. I always tell a story that you know, when I started the business, I never really had a situation where I didn't have money to buy bread or cheese, you know, since I started working. And then I went on this entrepreneurship journey, and wow, how interesting that was, you know. I mean, there was
cash flow.
Yeah, you know, before all of this, I'd walk into the house, there'd be a 5 rands there and a 10 rands there,
Yes, just
and
be lying all over the house.
you know, and I wouldn't even be bothered by it. And then I went on this journey, and there was a time when I had 2 rands and I needed 50 cents to go buy one tomato, 1 pepper, and 1 onion, just to
Wow.
make gravy so I
Yes.
can cook pap and have
Yes.
supper. And I couldn't find 50
50
cents
cents anywhere in the house.
No way.
You turn the house upside down and there's no 50 cents.
No,
for you.
50 cents. And I learned that prior to that, there had been times where somebody would call me and ask for help. And it would just look like such a simple thing that I wouldn't actually prioritize it. But now I understood the value of simple things, that if somebody asks me for help, regardless of where I am on my journey, I understand that it might be 50 cents to me, but to you it might be about saving.
Might
your
be
life.
everything.
Yes. So that has been, you know, one of those things that I had taken away from those engagements with those ladies, that I need to make sure that I remember the 50 cents story
Yes.
in all my engagements. So that was the first one. The second one has always been access to markets. I love it how our country says it, you know. We support black
Access to
businesses.
markets.
Yes.
You know what is interesting
I
for
love
me there
it.
is that we romanticize, not us here because we know the reality,
Yeah.
but in general, people are romanticizing the idea of entrepreneurships, of startups. I think we got high on the Facebook story, the Apple story, the Microsoft story, you know, and people don't really understand the grind. And so that's what you're talking about now, is that cash flow issue, the access to market. Tell us about that.
Yes, I mean, you engage in discussions, and then people first of all, don't believe that you can do what you say you can.
Sure.
You know, although before your journey as an entrepreneur, because you worked for this big giant, everybody trusted you.
Yes.
But it's the same you.
Yes.
Still doing
Same skills.
Yes.
More experience,
Yeah,
in fact.
yes.
But now you're on the outside of that.
Suddenly,
Yes.
you've lost all
cannot
that
be
trust.
trusted.
Yes. So that journey has been a very rough journey for us, because when we started out, we had that warped reality that actually I can go into this and I know all of this, and I'm hearing that there's all this support, all these
Yes,
wonderful things
yes,
that are
yes.
set up around me that will make me successful, and my country needs entrepreneurs to hire the youth because they are the ones who will be the savior to all this unemployment.
wonderful
yeah, you know, so all of that just kind of fell together. It was a perfect plan.
And the reality.
It was a perfect storm.
Yes.
That's what the reality became. So for quite a while, you know, we kind of had to live on, and that's the importance of having a purpose and a dream. Because if you don't, you will just let your business go very quickly. Do not make it about the money. Make it about the purpose. Make it about the dream. Then that's the one thing that will allow you
carries
to
you.
yes, you'll be able to wake up in the morning when you couldn't sleep. I actually read a quote. It was so funny when somebody says, you know, we always say, I slept like a baby. And this guy said, yes, I slept like a baby because I woke up every 20 minutes to cry. And that's the journey of an
That's the truth
entrepreneur.
of being an entrepreneur.
Exactly. But it's not all, you know, doom and gloom. As long as you have, you know, I think patience is so important. You know, be patient, believe in your dream, keep knocking at the right doors, and eventually things will come through.
So that's, you said so much, but I want to just come back to the obstacles you've overcome, because what
Right.
that naturally leads to into the lessons you've learned. So you're
Right.
saying at the beginning, and still it's women supporting each other, which
Right.
can be quite an obstacle.
Yes.
Because sometimes they do, and most of the times they don't, and sometimes they even get in the way or stop you from
Right.
advancing, then it's the cash flow issue, which is a real issue. And then it's the access to markets issue. So you've learned from all three of those, and I'm sure there are lots of other obstacles that you can mention. So key learning for you in terms of, as an entrepreneur, what are the things that really hold you together? You're saying vision and purpose.
Right.
But what else? Is there a support system? What else is holding everything together?
It is so important to have a team. You know, I always say to the guys, you do everything. I just go out there and I'm just the pretty face.
It's not a bad problem to have.
No, it's not. I love it actually because they make me shine. I go out there and I also sound so smart and I have it all together. But actually the reality is I have an amazing team behind me. They put everything together. You know, they are even part of the discussions of coming up with ideas. So I'm just there to just pull everything together, but they are the ones who come up with all of these awesome and wonderful ideas, and they are the executors of those things as well.
Amazing.
So I've been blessed with a very supportive team, I must say.
Your story is so unique in terms of being a woman in tech, in terms of competing with some of the known brands out there in the digital tech space. And I suppose, you know, you probably would be attractive to some software developers or some coders who are interested in this kind of work. But what is the staff situation in your business? Do you find that it's easy to kind of keep them on board? Do some have a higher appetite for being in that kind of startup environment? What is the reality there?
Yeah, being in a startup environment is just an interesting phenomenon on its own. So you find that there are individuals who love the idea because they want to be a part of an organization that allows them to be a part of everything. And that's the reality of being, you know, in an entrepreneurial organization. There is no such thing as this is my job title.
Yes.
So if you are a business analyst, for example, you are still expected to help with recruitment. You are still expected to help with marketing. You are still expected to help with even finance, you know. So if you look at me, for example, so every Friday we have these knowledge sharing sessions that we call lunch and learns, and it's my job to order pizza and everybody.
I want that job.
It's such a tough job because it's not just always pizza, you know.
Yes.
Today they want this, and then you buy that and they're like, we didn't like what you bought. Why did you get it from here? You know?
Yes.
And you look at it and think it's so simple.
Yes.
So you find that there are people who love that and are thrilled by that. But then also there's that reality of we also have corporates, you know, who have that job security.
Yes.
Kinda. At least there is that perception that there is such a thing. So, and then they also have these benefits that absolutely we cannot afford to give. So you get your car finance, your home loan, and all of those
medical aid, pension funds.
Yes. So we've had people who actually went through the whole recruitment process, which is quite rigorous, and then at the end they look at what we can offer, and then they look at the corporate, they're like, no.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so, and then we've also had people who've also left the organization for a couple of reasons. Some of them cash flow,
Sure.
and then some of them exactly that we can't compete with our competitors as well. But then because we've also created the culture that allows, you know, people
Freedom of
to
expression.
be who they are. So I think that's the one thing that they have found attractive. So the guys who have stayed and the guys who are still attracted to KMC, they like that, what they call freshness.
That's a nice term. Okay, so what I always say is if one person has a job that gives another person work, then that means two people are not looking for jobs.
Exactly.
So that needs to be multiplied, I would think.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, what kind of social impact do you think a company like yours in the digital space can have on society in general and in South Africa in particular?
So, like I said at the beginning, we have so much more responsibility. We've had access to the technology that allows us to do certain things. We know how to do certain things in a very smart way, in a very tech savvy way, in a very disruptive way. And so one of the reasons that we actually started up KMC is that we needed to share this with our people. So that was so important. So as part of what we do is we actually have a grad program where we hire grads and we take them through that process where we go through very rigorous training and upskilling so that they are ready to go and work with our clients.
Right.
So it's actually at the core and the conscience of who we are and the reason that we exist as an organization. We've been around for about 2 years, and what we didn't want to do, because we understand exactly how all of this works, we didn't want to just quickly hire without building the right frameworks
Sure.
that allow for quality and excellence.
Sure.
Because one of the other reasons we started out the company is that we needed to rewrite this whole narrative that Africa cannot produce excellence. So that was key to who we are. And we had to make sure that all the frameworks that we needed set up to make sure that we are able to just propel our nation into excellence and rewrite all of this. All of that is set up. So in the next year or two, sure, we're gonna have a lot of beautiful, amazing stories to tell.
Well, I'm excited to hear about those stories. Kgomotso, it sounds to me like you can write the rule book on how to govern a startup from the start.
I've done too many wrong things.
Well,
So
there
I
is
learned,
that.
yes.
Yes, there is that. There is the learning that comes from having experienced obstacles and challenges and having made the wrong decisions. But there is also just the learning that comes from having a fair amount of wisdom about what you want and what you're prepared to do to get it.
Right.
But I think you're an uncompromising person. Excellence is really your standard. And because that is your standard, you require that of those that you work with.
Yeah.
And that is something that you can write the rule book on. I really do think you can, because you literally have rewritten how digital technology and software development can happen, even from a small space like a startup space. So I applaud you for that. I think Africa is going to know you very, very well in the years to come. And I really wish Khabane Majestic Consulting all the success. And just one last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you see yourself in the next 15 years, 10 to 15 years? And
So
the business, of course.
Right. So the over and above these other awesome, wonderful strategic objectives that we have about changing the world, changing the narrative and all of that.
Yes.
One thing that I always say is that the day I can get a girl child from a rural Africa to come into KMC and work with the Majestics, that's what we call ourselves, by the way, Majestics.
Majestics.
And stand on a stage in a conference with your Googles and your LinkedIn's and have a debate and hold their ground. That day I retire.
Wow.
That's my dream.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it happens in less than 15 years.
In less than 15?
Yes.
There is time?
Yeah. But for Africa, we are here to disrupt the world, So we have to rewrite the narrative, and for KMC, we see ourselves being a part of the disruptive community that makes a positive difference.
I applaud you, and I thank you very much for helping us to amplify African excellence, and of course you are the epitome of that, so thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you.